What are you guys doing?
We're talking about Flagstaff because we're not going to talk about Flagstaff anymore after Friday. Because then it's only talk about your wedding.
We're only going to talk about your wedding on Saturday and Sunday. That's it.
So we're touching base with Flagstaff right now and getting everybody
on. So you can get it all out?
We can get it all out, get all on the same page.
You guys can talk about it. I just
nope, we're not going to.
You don't want us going to all of the people that are guests at your wedding and we're moving to Flagstaff. I get it.
No, that's even fine. It's just like, I need you, if you're
listen,
like stressed about something,
I'll be completely present.
I need to rechannel and stress about wedding stuff.
Christine Brown, one of the most talked about stars of TLC's long-running reality series SisterWives, has stunned both her fans and critics by releasing her highly anticipated memoir earlier than expected. The book, which many had already speculated would be an intimate and raw look into her turbulent life with former husband Kody Brown, has already set social media abuzz with heated debates, tears of solidarity, and even shockwaves of disbelief. Fans who had long believed that Christine's voice was overshadowed during the series are now hearing her unfiltered story, and many claim the memoir reveals some of the darkest betrayals in her marriage with Kody, betrayals that the cameras never fully managed to capture. When Christine announced her departure from the plural marriage in 2021, viewers of SisterWives were left to process one of the biggest shakeups in the family's history. While Janelle and Mary's eventual breakups with Kody followed later, Christine was the first to take the bold step of officially walking away from him and the polygamous lifestyle he tried to hold on to. Fans always wondered what really pushed Christine to her breaking point, and now, through her memoir, those questions seem to be finally answered. Her book, raw in tone and rich in detail, not only takes readers behind the scenes of the show but also into the private corners of her heart where years of disappointment, neglect, and unfulfilled promises accumulated until she could no longer carry them. The memoir arrived early on shelves, a surprise drop that immediately created a frenzy online. Within hours of its release, fans were posting excerpts, analyzing passages, and debating what they saw as confirmations of long-held suspicions. For years, viewers speculated that Kody favored his fourth wife, Robyn, to the detriment of his other wives, and that favoritism was one of the cracks that shattered the family. Christine's book does not shy away from addressing those concerns. Instead, it paints an even starker picture of betrayal, one that fans say exposes Kody in ways they never expected him to be exposed. Christine's words reflect decades of building frustration, starting from the moment she entered the marriage to the day she finally announced her decision to leave. She shares stories of moments when she felt invisible, unsupported, and ultimately rejected. Readers are struck by how candid she is, particularly about the emotional and physical neglect she endured. Christine admits that her marriage to Kody lacked the intimacy and partnership that she longed for, and she recalls devastating moments where her attempts to connect were met with indifference. Her revelations about their sex life, or as she frames it, the lack thereof, align with what she hinted at on SisterWives in past seasons, but the book takes those hints and turns them into blunt truths that leave no room for speculation. One of the most powerful themes of Christine's memoir is betrayal. Fans already knew that she often felt excluded when Kody spent disproportionate time with Robyn, but in the memoir, Christine frames these choices as deeper betrayals of trust and faith. She details how promises were broken time and time again, not just about equal time with the wives but about building a united family. Christine recalls moments when Kody pledged unity but then prioritized Robyn in decisions ranging from family finances to where they would live. These decisions, which seemed like practical arrangements on television, take on a whole new light when Christine describes how they impacted her emotionally. She felt abandoned by the man who had vowed to treat all wives equally, and for her, that was a betrayal not only of marriage vows but of the entire foundation of their plural family. The memoir also touches on Christine's role as a mother. Her primary motivation for staying in the marriage for as long as she did, she writes, was her children. She wanted them to have stability, even if that stability came at the expense of her happiness. But as the years passed, she realized that remaining in a loveless and unequal marriage was sending a harmful message to her children, particularly her daughters. She did not want them to grow up believing that such neglect was normal or acceptable in a relationship. This realization became one of the catalysts for her decision to leave, and her reflections on motherhood add layers of strength to her narrative. Fans reading her words feel the weight of that choice, applauding her bravery in prioritizing her children's emotional well-being over the facade of family unity. Christine's candid recollections about her interactions with Robin have also sparked intense reactions. While she avoids placing all the blame on Robin, she does not deny that Robin's arrival and subsequent favoritism from Kody accelerated the cracks in her marriage. She writes about the pain of watching Kody emotionally and physically distance himself from her, while giving more and more of his time, affection, and resources to Robin. For fans who had long criticized Kody for playing favorites, Christine's words are confirmation that those criticisms were well-founded. She describes moments where she felt like an outsider in her own family, not just because of Robin's presence but because Kody allowed that dynamic to flourish. To Christine, that was one of Kody's ultimate betrayals. His failure to protect the family's balance and his willingness to let one relationship overshadow all the others. The early release of the memoir has led to a media storm. Headlines everywhere highlight Christine's boldness in finally speaking her truth, and social media platforms are flooded with commentary. Fans are dissecting every line, comparing her narrative to what they saw on the show, and pointing out inconsistencies in Kody's public statements. Consensus among many viewers is that Christine has given them validation. They had long suspected Kody's behavior was not just favoritism but outright neglect, and Christine's memoir seems to confirm that suspicion. Some fans even say that Kody's biggest betrayals are now laid bare for the world to see. His inability to be an equal partner, his disregard for the emotional needs of his wives, and his ultimate decision to invest himself almost entirely in one relationship while the others withered. For critics of Christine, however, the memoir is a double-edged sword. Some argue that Christine is capitalizing on her newfound independence and using the book to frame herself as the victim while painting Kody as the villain. They question her timing, suggesting that dropping the book early is a calculated move to stir up attention before the upcoming season of SisterWives. But Christine's supporters counter that her voice has been stifled for too long, and that her memoir is not about revenge but about reclaiming her story. For years, Kody dominated the narrative, especially on the show where he often justified his choices with lengthy monologues. Christine's book is a counterbalance, an opportunity for fans to finally hear her perspective without Kody's interruptions. The memoir also has broader implications for the future of SisterWives. As season 20 looms, fans are wondering how Christine's revelations will affect the show's direction. With Janelle and Mary also having distanced themselves from Kody, the spotlight is increasingly on Robin and Kody's monogamous-style marriage. Christine's words, however, serve as a reminder of why the family fell apart in the first place. They expose a pattern of behavior from Kody that was not just about Robin but about his inability to maintain fairness and compassion in plural marriage. For TLC, Christine's memoir might inject renewed interest into the show, as viewers will tune in to see how Kody responds or doesn't respond to the accusations. Perhaps the most striking element of the memoir is Christine's newfound sense of empowerment. She writes with a tone that oscillates between pain and liberation, illustrating how difficult it was to break away but also how freeing it has been since leaving. She describes building a new life in Utah, surrounded by supportive friends and family, and finding love again with David Woolley. Her joy in her new marriage contrasts sharply with the pain she recalls from her years with Kody, making her memoir not only a story of betrayal but also of healing and resilience. Readers are left with the sense that Christine's greatest revenge, if one could call it that, is not the memoir itself but her happiness after leaving the toxic environment behind. Fans have latched onto quotes from the book that highlight Christine's resilience. One particularly resonant line speaks to her realization that love should never feel like a constant battle for attention. She admits she spent years trying to win Kody's affection, but in the end, she realized that real love is given freely, not begged for. That lesson, she writes, is one she hopes her daughters especially will carry into their own lives. It is a powerful conclusion to a narrative that begins in pain but ends in hope. As the dust settles around the surprise release, it is clear that Christine's memoir has shifted the conversation around SisterWives. No longer is the story just about Kody trying to maintain control or about the logistics of plural marriage. Now it is about the voices of the women who lived through it, the costs they paid for Kody's decisions, and the strength they found in choosing themselves. Christine's willingness to expose what she calls Kody's biggest betrayals is not just a cathartic release for her, but also a rallying cry for fans who have long wanted to see the women of SisterWives recognized as more than just supporting characters in Kody's story. In the end, Christine Brown's memoir is more than a tell-all about a failed marriage. It is a declaration of independence, a deeply personal testimony of survival, and a critique of a man who promised equality but delivered disappointment. Fans say it exposes Kody's biggest betrayals, but it also highlights Christine's biggest triumph, her decision to walk away, rebuild her life, and finally write her own story on her own terms. When it comes to reality television, few families have drawn as much fascination, scrutiny, and controversy as the Browns of TLC's long-running series SisterWives. What started as an unconventional but seemingly harmonious portrayal of plural marriage has slowly devolved into a complicated web of feuds, heartbreak, estrangement, and bitter revelations. Now, years into the unraveling of his once proud plural family, Kody Brown continues to attract attention with the things he says and the way he says them. His recent appearance on the show's latest season created a firestorm among fans, as cameras caught him laughing in a way many viewers described as villainous, after taking what appeared to be a jab at his last remaining wife, Robyn Brown. His strange remark, "She would never let me," delivered with an odd sneer and followed by that unsettling laugh, immediately sparked debates online about what exactly he meant, why he chose to say it, and whether it revealed deeper cracks in even his most loyal marital bond. For years, SisterWives has operated as both a reality show and an unfiltered diary of polygamy's struggles. Kody, the patriarch, has often been cast as the central figure driving the family's narrative. With his initial 4 wives, Mary, Janelle, Christine, and Robyn, Kody once painted a picture of a united and faith-driven polygamous household. But that picture has long since shattered. Christine became the first to officially leave him in 2021, citing loneliness, betrayal, and emotional neglect. Janelle followed not long after, choosing independence and dignity over staying tethered to a man she said treated her like a burden. Mary, whose marriage to Kody had been reduced to platonic estrangement for nearly a decade, also severed ties officially. This left Kody legally and emotionally tied only to Robyn, his youngest wife and, in the eyes of many fans, his long-favored partner. Yet, if his recent behavior is any indication, even that relationship may not be the bedrock he claims it to be. The scene in question unfolded during one of the most talked-about moments of the new season. Kody and Robyn were seated together, discussing the fallout from the disintegration of the family, as well as his strained ties with his older children. In what was supposed to be a candid reflection on the challenges they faced, Kody suddenly veered into unexpected territory. He made a comment that seemed to undercut Robyn's authority or perhaps mock her influence, muttering, "She would never let me," before cutting himself off with a strange laugh. The laugh itself became the subject of intense online commentary. Viewers described it as sinister, mocking, and disturbingly reminiscent of a movie villain reveling in someone else's misfortune. It was so jarring that clips of the moment went viral almost instantly, with fans replaying it and analyzing his body language. The exchange was not simply brushed aside as a throwaway remark. It was seen as symbolic of the twisted dynamic that has come to define Kody and Robyn's relationship. Social media lit up in the hours after the episode aired. On X, formerly Twitter, TikTok, Reddit, and fan forums dedicated to SisterWives, users dissected not only what Kody said but how he said it. The phrase, "she would never let me," was interpreted in countless ways. Some believed he was referring to Robyn's unwillingness to share him with other wives or potential new partners. Others speculated that it was about control, perhaps a dig at how much influence Robyn has over his daily decisions, finances, and household structure. Still others suggested it was a half-joking attempt to frame Robyn as the boss in the marriage, an ironic twist considering that he once demanded unquestioned obedience from his other wives. The ambiguity only added to the intrigue, and his laughter left the impression that he was not being entirely sincere but instead indulging in some dark amusement at the expense of those watching. The reaction among fans revealed a deep divide. On one hand, some felt the moment exposed Kody's bitterness even toward Robyn, which contradicted his public insistence that she is his one true partner. If he truly respected and loved her as he has claimed, why would he choose to laugh in such a cruel and mocking tone while implying that she limits him in some way? On the other hand, there were those who defended him, suggesting that he was simply being sarcastic or humorous, that the so-called villain laugh was exaggerated by editing, and that the comment was taken out of context. But even among defenders, there was acknowledgement that Kody has a long history of making remarks that alienate his wives, his children, and now his viewers. This is not the first time Kody's laugh has come under fire. Over the years, fans have pointed out how he tends to chuckle dismissively in moments of confrontation, using laughter as a way to avoid accountability or belittle someone else's feelings. Christine, in particular, accused him of mocking her in the past whenever she raised concerns about their intimacy or her feelings of neglect. Janelle has also called him out for what she described as arrogance masked with humor. His laughter has become almost a character trait on the show, a symbol of his refusal to take responsibility and his tendency to twist serious conversations into something belittling. In this latest instance, however, the sinister edge of his chuckle made it stand out in a new way, and it struck a nerve with viewers who felt it was emblematic of the toxic undertones that still pervade his household. Robyn's reaction to the moment was telling. She gave Kody a strained smile but avoided directly engaging with his comment. Instead, she shifted the conversation, almost as though she wanted to diffuse the awkwardness or prevent it from escalating into an on-camera fight. This in itself raised questions. Was she used to brushing off such remarks? Was she uncomfortable with the public seeing cracks in their relationship? Or was she complicit in maintaining the image of unity, even if it required ignoring Kody's mocking tone?